So white space is also a special character. What it means here is that if, for example, I put multiple white spaces here, look how I did that. I just put multiple white spaces between these plus minuses, save this, and reload in a browser. Browser will ignore these multiple white spaces. It will put one only, but not multiple. This is because white spaces is a reserved character, and if you like to preserve multiple white spaces, we have to take special measures for that. Okay, it's not coming automatically by default. So this is the code, and if you like to see this table, which I have in my presentation, this one, this table is available to you if you go to the Start menu, Accessories, System Tools, a Character Map. It's open. The full path is open on a desktop. So Accessories, System Tools, Character Map. When you select this character map, this dialog box appearing. So you should set the character set as Windows Western, and any character you select, you'll get approximate appropriate code at the bottom. Let's see. No, it's not subrange. So let's see this one. Yeah, you see that this plus minus has a code 177. If you select plus minus in this table, you will see that the keystroke will say Alt 0177. Okay, so let's go to my code and use that. So for example, we already observed that this combination ampersand pound 177 semicolon will create plus minus, correct? But what if I like to insert this plus minus straight into the HTML code? What I need to do, I need to press Alt key and type 0177, and you see that I was able to put this plus minus straight into the HTML code. Will it be shown exactly as is, as in my HTML code or not? I'm not guaranteed on that. It might be shown as a plus minus, this one. Not the first one, but this one. Might be not. It might be distorted. But let's try it. Okay? It is. Okay? But the result is not guaranteed. Okay? So, any questions about this character map?
Can you show us how to get to that again? I'm sorry.
Okay. So you go to the Start menu, Accessories, System Tools, Character Map.
Thank you.
Okay. So make sure that you don't select Unicode, because you'll get Unicode characters. And again, this started from 33 actually, not even 32. Okay.
32 is a space. That's why.
Yeah, it's not shown from there, but this is basically it shows the character map. And this, if a computer uses, for example, Courier or Times New Roman font, then you have to switch to that to get the reserved characters, list of reserved characters. Similarly, you can insert these characters which are not on your keyboard, like registered trademark or copyright symbol or this mu, whatever. Okay, whatever symbol you like to. Okay, so let's see how we can do that.
How do you put it in HTML?
So in HTML code, this is not good. So what you need to do is you need to say ampersand, then pound, and then the code of that character. Okay, do you see this character map? Okay, can you select this plus minus there? So what it says at the right bottom corner? It says 177. So its code is 177, right? So what you need to do here is just put ampersand pound 177 and then semicolon. Okay, any questions about 177? Now this this table character map might be also useful when you like to insert these characters not in HTML code but in some text editor. Let's assume I'm working with Microsoft Word, okay, and I need to insert this plus minus character, okay. Now I don't have HTML code, so that's why I don't need to put ampersand pound 177. What I do, I press Alt key, and then on a keypad saying 0177, and this plus minus is automatically inserted. Okay, that's very useful. Alternatively, you can copy this. Say, for example, if you select this and say copy, and then paste to the WordPad document. Okay, make sense? Excellent. So let's close this guy. Now there is other alternative of doing that. Say you can use either this syntax, or you can use its nickname, because HTML provides a nickname for these certain characters, like say ampersand plus minus semicolon plus mn. If you use this, you'll get exactly the same result. Okay, should be no difference. So we have examples of the following examples with the nicknames. So we have copyright symbol, which is 169 code. We have registered trademark, ampersand reg, semicolon, trademark symbol, non-breaking space, NBSP, which we can use for providing multiple spaces. We can have ampersand, which is a reserved character, but we can say ampersand amp, greater or less than or greater than. This is actually very useful when you're writing mathematical formula. You like to use these characters, but these characters are reserved for the tags in HTML code. So in order to avoid that, we can use these nicknames. Okay. So if you see the, for example, XML code or HTML code and see characters like this, think that they are talking about less than or greater than characters. And then we can use French and Spanish and sans symbols, for example, and so on. Okay. Any questions about this? So, for example, if I like to create a page with multiple spaces, remember that was my initial goal. So what I have to do, I have to say ampersand NBSP semicolon, and then, for example, put multiple of these, and then say ampersand pound 169 semicolon. Okay. So in that case, I'm expecting to see plus minus separated my multiple spaces from copyright symbol. That's my expectation is. And if I reload the page, that's exactly the case. You see that I was able to put multiple spaces here, and since space is a reserved character, I cannot simply put as empty bar, I mean a space bar. The browser will ignore it. But if you take special measures like saying, you know, let's put empty space, empty space, empty space, the browser will honor that. And you see that they have multiple spaces here. Okay, so this is the code for that. And this is the code for copyright symbol. Abbreviation to the special characters, and if we like to use them in HTML code, we can use them. So this is not complete list. List is big. This is for illustration purposes only. Okay. Alternatively, you can use character code directly instead of nicknames. Use the code from the character cap dialog box. Now, special characters may look different because on the different platforms, on different machines, on different browsers, because HTML is not a language for preserving the layout of the page. Okay. That's why this creates a lot of possibilities for QA engineers, because you have to go and test them manually. You cannot do that test automatically. So as such, here's an example of that. For example, this page, if we are going to create that, will show the speed of light with the spaces introduced between each 3 digits. Okay, so 299 space 792 space 458 and space. So this is how this code will look like in a browser if we are working on PC machines. Okay, on Macintosh the same code will look slightly different. This is the code. You see that we have an impression that this is not a single space. It's kind of a multiple space, maybe 1.5 space, 1.3. Okay, so effect is not exactly the same as a Windows platform. So how we can fix this is, instead of NBSP, non-breaking space character, we can use this tag NOBR, which stands for non-breaking space. And if we use NOBR, the formatting is restored. Compare this formatting with this one. So it's actually, we get nice formatting with this tag. So we have to experiment. Actually, not we, but the developer. And if we use NOBR on PC, it will look exactly the same as here. So the bottom line is, let's go and use NOBR rather than NBSP. So next thing which we are going to do is talking about the language of the web pages. So until very recently, we can assume that majority of the web pages were in English, but that's not anymore. Okay, more than 50% of web pages are in Chinese. Exactly, and in Chinese. Okay, so we cannot assume that the default page language is English anymore. Okay, besides that, if we are working with the different languages, we should need some to standardize them. Okay, what happens in so let's see, let's go back to this character map. Okay, so this character map encoding comes from the DOS era. That's actually the very first operation system introduced by Microsoft. And we agree that first 127 characters in this table are reserved. And then from 128 to 255 are basically, we are free of doing whatever we like to. Okay, so as soon as they introduce DOS operation system, programmers in the different parts of the world, they started to think about a way how to put their national symbols into this character map. So languages which had less than 127 characters in total were in good position, because the second half of the page, for example, these symbols, allowing us to remove completely these symbols and putting national ones. For example, you can put Korean alphabet here, you can put French or whatever language you like to, but you cannot put Arabic and you cannot put Chinese characters, even simplified Chinese, because definitely there is no room for that. Okay, so that's one problem. Second problem was that it means that we cannot support all languages. That's one problem. And the second problem is that this putting characters in these cells between 128 and 255 can be done differently. For example, one group of developers may say, you know what, let's replace this character with something else, and then it will go this order. Some other group of developers may use exactly the same characters, but they can put in a different order. Okay, so as a result of that, we can support the given language, but we may come up with a different schemas, okay, different layout of the characters, okay, which will definitely create a mess. Because you know what, you have to put some standards, so browsers will understand that, developers will understand that, and so on. But in this particular case, if you do that, essentially you have any possibility, you are free of doing whatever you like to. That's why you can come up with a different layout with the same characters, but in a different order. So in order to eliminate these problems, we actually needed to do, people needed to do standardization. And then this given standard will describe which letters go to which cell numbers. Okay, so but with other words, we need to standardize that. And International Standardization Organization, ISO, which is located in London, came up with such standards. This organization is busy with developing standards, And this standard was developed. It's called ISO 8859, also known as ISO Latin 1. Is a primary character set for representing Western languages on the internet. It actually more or less coincides with the character map which we saw on Microsoft Windows system. Okay, I think it's one-to-one correlation. I didn't compare them, but it's almost the same. Okay, so and then the computers, until recently, they assumed that any given page which is downloaded from internet has this Latin 1 encoding. Okay. Now, with many languages started to evolve and people started to publish web pages on their own languages, this is no longer true. Okay, we cannot assume that people will always use ISO Latin 1 as a character map. So this is the standard Latin 1. Numbers here are hexadecimal, not decimal. That's why it's not very easy to compare. But we may see that space character, which we have in position 32, remember that? Is now have 220. 2 multiplied by 0, this has a 20, position 20 in the hexadecimal system. We can easily check that. So if you go to calculator, and then I type 32 in a decimal because it's standard one, and if I change to hexadecimal, I will get 20. Okay, so essentially, if you're using hexadecimal system, we'll get 20, which stands for position of the space. So said that, and all other characters, these are actually reserved characters, which are absolutely necessary for operation system to operate. These are characters which are optional. It means that you can modify this part and you are not going to affect operation system in any way. Okay, that's how it looks like in a Latin 1. And I think if we translate this into the decimal part and decimal numbers and compare with Microsoft system, that will be one-to-one correlation. So now we should be able to show the documents shown in non-English characters, non-Latin 1 characters. For example, if we like to use kanji or we can use Cyrillic, we have to do that. Now, so how documents are served on the internet, it's also important to understand how we specify this encoding. So when you need a given page, you type that page address, so basically URL, into the browser window, and then press enter. You send this request to the server, and the server searches this document, and if it finds it, then it actually sends you kind of a beam of letters, because they're coming one at a time, one letter at a time, and sends to the browser. Browser receives this stream of letters, combines them, store in some place. As soon as the last letter is received, then the browser actually recreates the original page and shows it to you. These processes are going very fast. You probably don't even think about them, but nevertheless it goes this way. Now, if we load the page and it turns out that we don't have these appropriate characters, for example, if I like to show Japanese characters and I don't have Japanese font, for example, okay, then when browser receives the page and tries to show it to me, that is too late. Okay, so browser will say, you know what, it will show question marks or rectangulars, but it will not show me the Japanese hieroglyphs. Okay, so in order to do that, we have to make some modifications. Now, browser cannot assume anymore that the default encoding is Latin 1. So as a result of that, we have to specify encoding. We have to specify which languages are used in the given page. Okay, so this is done this should be done as soon as possible. So, with other words, when browser starts receiving these letters, it should be done as soon as possible. But probably first letters browser receives should indicate which encoding this page is. So what happens is that when browser receives the streaming, browser can do other tasks in parallel. So it means that in parallel to receiving this stream, browser can also look for Japanese fonts, and if fonts are not found, then you'll get a dialog box saying, you know what, you need these fonts to download it. Or if the fonts are found, then browser can automatically load these fonts into the operational memory. So this is how it is done. We have to specify in a meta part, because meta is located in a head and is located in the beginning of the document. So we'll receive this information as soon as possible. And here how it is done. We say meta HTTP equivalent content type, content text HTML, and character set is UC/JP. This is abbreviation for character set, which supports European languages and Japanese at the same time. So this should be located in a head part, because head is actually the beginning of HTML document and will be transmitted and received first. Okay, so what we do next is visiting this page. It's better if you copy and paste, because we have underlines here which might be not visible quite visible, but this is one word without spaces. Remarkable things with this page is that we are using 4 Japanese alphabets, kanji, hiragana, katakana, and romaji, in the same page together with the English characters. That's a remarkable thing, okay? Because browser is capable of doing that. Okay, this is actually very good. And also pay attention to the HTML file. So we have not HTML extension, we have extension SHTML. Why is it so? No. Usually we have HTML or HTML extension, right? But in this case we have SHTML. Special? This is actually indication to the browser that this page is not inlaid in one. Okay, this is not a requirement. It's not it's kind of a standardized, but it's recommended. Okay, so if you have different encodings within the same page, you can specify that. Sometimes they specify also a pound sign. It's basically indication to the browser that this page has different encodings. Nothing to do with the security. If you are going to have security page, we'll have protocol HTTPS, but we have normal protocol HTTP. It means that we are not going to do that securely. Any questions? Okay, so this is working. Next thing, this is possible because we have character set specified as a shift JIS, which allows us to show all Japanese hieroglyphs, all Japanese alphabets, plus an English text. Okay. Next thing which we are going to see is text in Cyrillic, and this this text is actually taken from Wikipedia, and this text is basically shown normal as normal, as it should be. But if I change the encoding, because Cyrillic supports 5 different encodings, if I specify encoding incorrectly, then I'm getting these gibberish characters. Okay, text is the same, characters are the same, but the encoding is specified incorrectly. So if I change to another encoding, I'll get even more gibberish characters, and then that's not good. Okay. Before, when browsers were not so intelligent, you have to go, and when you receive pages not in English characters, you have to go to encodings and manually select them. Nowadays, browsers are intelligent enough to realize what pages which encoding is used, and then it adjusts automatically. In 99% of the cases, it's okay. 1% of the cases involves manual adjustment. Okay, so be very careful. That's what you have to test. Also, this page is actually has a very interesting feature. Is that they use Cyrillic characters here, but they are not readable. This is a gibberish character, and the reason is that they use incorrect encoding. Okay, so local computers over there in this publishing house, they may support 2 different encodings at the same time, but computers outside of the country, they don't. So as a result of that, we cannot read this text because the incorrect encoding is specified. So you have to test that as well. Okay, so especially when you use language which supports several encodings. So these are actually only a few of them of Russian encodings, but this is create a mess. Okay, we have core I8R, Cyrillic ISO, Cyrillic DOS. We also have Cyrillic MAC, 8853, and so on. Basically, a lot of encodings to create a mess. Fortunately, browsers actually do a very good job to distinguish between them. Also, we have some other languages which support which have multiple encodings. This is actually very unfortunate, but that's part of the life. Okay. Okay, so with other words, we have to make sure that we're using correct encodings while we type the text, and the correct encoding is indicated in HTML meta tags. Okay, they should match. If there is a mismatch, then browser will not. We'll try to show you anyway, but not guaranteed. Results are not guaranteed. Okay, that's what we have to test. Besides specifying the language, you also can specify locale. Okay, so but specifying language is a very good idea because this specification can be used in assisting search engines. Because if you are, for example, going to Google, you can make advanced search. Let's do it together. Let's see, where is my browser? Okay, let's go to the Google. If you go to Google, then I believe somewhere you have advanced search. Search. No, I don't see it here. Right corner? Where you see that?
Right up corner. No. Corner.
Corner.
Right. Corner. Oh, let's go to arrow.
No, here it used to be say, advanced. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes.
Let's see. Nope. Okay, let's see. If I see somewhere, let's see. Okay, let's do this. If I make a search, advanced. No, it does not give me the advanced search. Okay, advanced search. Okay, it's in the tools. Okay, if you go to the advanced search, you see that you can specify language here. Okay, so what it means that if you don't specify anything, Google will use your local computer settings, your local time zone and the country, basically whatever settings you have in your machine, to present your results. So if you locate it here, Google will silently assumes that you are using English language, and that's it. But if you change the language, add additional languages here, then in that case, your search will be more informative. For example, if you know 4 languages or 10 languages, you can specify all of them, and the result set will come in all these languages, which actually maybe more useful for you than just specifying one default one. Okay, so this is possible because pages which Google actually categorize is indicating the language. Okay, it means that. So let's go to this presentation. Okay, if you specify language in your page, that will assist search engines to put in the appropriate place in the catalog. Nowadays, it's not required because Google, for example, if you're putting your pages in the catalog, Google can analyze this information automatically. It can recognize the language used and put appropriately. But assisting that, it was not a bad idea at all. So speech synthesis is very important because some people with disability, they cannot read the web pages, but they can hear. So what they do, they go to the web page and turn this application which start to read the page loudly. Okay. Now, if the page is not in English, then they have problems of synthesizing. Okay. So this is very easy to create. Microsoft provides this SDK for doing that. But it's essential for these people. Okay, might be essential. And also assisting spell checkers and grammar checkers, because if they know the language, definitely it's very easy to do, providing that you have appropriate spell checkers and grammar checkers for a given language. If language is not specified, you might see problems. For example, if you have default spell checkers loaded for English and loading different language, text in different language, you see that all words become underlined immediately in red, okay, because spell checker cannot recognize them. Okay. Any questions? Straightforward. Okay, so where we specify the language, we can specify language as an attribute to the element, like in this case, we're saying Q, which is a quotation, and then say language is English, and then this text will be all the way here until a closing Q will be regarded as English, and then the rest will be going to default one, which might be French. Okay, so this might be not informative, actually illustrious, but we can also specify local. For example, we can specify English US or English Canada, for example, or English UK, and also can specify Navajo, for example, in this case. It's a huge list. All languages are present here. It's a subcode, using the dash for specifying subcode. Examples of the different languages. This is very short list. Okay, so we have basically they coincide with the country codes, and then allow to specify the language which is used on the website, and also as help browser to set settings, to configure settings correctly. Here, how it would multi-language page may look like. We have HTML, and I specify language for that HTML document as a French, and as a default one. So it means that browser by default will regard the rest of the page as French. But we have possibility to fine-tune small pieces of HTML code in different languages, like here. So we started body, and this text is interpreted as French because we specify language French here. After that, this paragraph specified as a Spanish. So this text will be interpreted as Spanish until the closing of the paragraph here. It should be closing one, okay? After that, when we close the paragraph, this will be interpreted as a French again. Let's fix that. 68. So it will not be confusion. This is closing tag. So the rest of that is will be regarded as a French again until this one. We don't need this anymore. And then, yeah, that's how it looks like. Okay, so this will be interpreted as a French text interpreted, and then after that we'll have some text in Japanese until this closing EM, emphasized text. Okay, and then if you don't specify text, specific language for the text or paragraph, then it will be by default regarded as a French because it's specified here. Okay, so it means that you can create a generic, specify generic language for the rest of the HTML document, but you can fine-tune given portion of the document as you need. Okay, you incorporate many different languages within the document. Any questions? Okay, straightforward. Missing space.
When it's converted to like an HTML in the document, there is a missing space. It says by some Japanese together. There is no spaces between some and Japanese.
This one?
Where is interrupted by
Okay.
some Japanese on the document by some Japanese, it's all one word.
Yes, because I didn't put space here. That's correct. That's correct.
Is it supposed to be like that?
Yeah, if you don't put space, because HTML starts immediately here and closes here, right? So we don't put Japanese, it says some Japanese here. I assume that it should be Japanese hieroglyphs, okay? But instead of that, I put English text, okay? So in that case, it's just flow of characters, and the browser is not going to put empty space for you, okay? Makes sense, okay? Let's move forward. More HTML tags. So we are going to see how, actually we saw how different characters, special characters shown in HTML, and how we have to take care of them. We saw different page encodings. We covered meta tags, mail to URL. We haven't covered anchors yet, okay? So what anchors are essentially, let's look at the HTML links, hyperlinks. So hyperlinks, when we create them, usually they contain, join two different documents together. You can jump actually from one document to another one using hyperlinks. Anchors are actually a special case of hyperlinks when you jump from the different portion of the same document, different position. Okay. So if you have a long document, then you can have a navigation menu at the top, which allow you to navigate to the given section of the document. So that's why they're called anchors. not hyperlinks, and then they actually creating links between different portions of the same document. So no, we're not going to, unfortunately, this is not working here because Caltrain, I used to bring an example of a Caltrain website. They have big schedules and then table after table after table, and then in order to navigate that, they created the navigation at the top. When you click, for example, weekends southbound train schedule, you'll be navigated to the bottom of the page. And the page was huge. But they changed the design. Now you have to select whatever table you like, and that table will be loaded. Okay? So that's not a good example, but I created the document which will illustrate that. So that concept. I think no, not this one. See. Not this one. Let's see. This. Oh no. Okay, let's see. No, let's see, what's that? 1026, 2010. No, looking at a different place. No, this one. No, where is that actually? Form. Well, okay, so okay, this one. Okay, you see that I have huge HTML page, and it takes me a while to scroll up and down. Okay, so but I have a navigation at the top. I'm saying link to the bottom. When I click on this bottom link to the bottom, I'll be navigated to the bottom of the page. Okay, this is an example of an anchor. I'm not navigating from this document to something else. I'm basically navigating within the same document. So let's see how it is done. This is an example of anchor. And what happens here is that I'm selecting a text which will serve as an anchor, as a kind of a hotspot, and I give it href, I specify href, and this say £A. Okay, and then I'm closing this anchor because this is A stands here as a hyperlink, and here it closes that. After that, I assigned a name of the element which I'm going to navigate to with this one A. For example, I specify name as A in this case. That's the element I'm going to navigate to. Okay, so and then that's how it works. Let's look at the code which I presented. This is this one. So you see that I have a H reference at the top, and then I have this link to the bottom, which serves as a hyperlink. And also I have a hyperlink reference as ABC in this case. £ABC. Okay. So this ABC will ABC is the name of the element which I'm going to navigate to. Now if we go back at the bottom of the screen, you will see that I have designated letter Y or V here at the bottom, and gave it a name, say ABC. Here it's shown at the bottom. Let's put some new line characters so you can see. Oh, it does not allow me to. So let's put it at the top so everyone can see it. Okay, so right here, you see you specify, you get an element, say V in this case, and provide a name to it. And the name should come, it should be called ABC because we created link to ABC. And then after that, I just close this A tag. Now, what happens is at the beginning, I have a hyperlink which links to me, which brings me to is ABC, and ABC being a name of this character. Okay, this is the name. Name is equals ABC. That's how these two elements are linked together. Sorry? Yeah, it actually looks for the name ABC, actually for which element has a name ABC. In that case, it turns out that this is this one. Okay? And observe here that I don't have H reference because I don't have hyperlink here. I'm saying A as an anchor, and its name is ABC. Basically, I created two anchors, and I'll link them together. Okay? So this is how it works in practice. So I have this hyperlink, which points to this element at the bottom, which is called V, this one. And you see that V is not a hyperlink. It's a normal text. But you cannot distinguish that from, it's a normal text, but you cannot tell any difference because everything is an HTML code, right? You cannot tell its name, and you cannot tell which it will navigate, which is linked to. So, but when you click on this link, you'll be navigated to V automatically. Okay? And then besides that, you can create a link here which says navigate to me to the top. In that case, you'll be brought to the top. But I haven't done that. Okay? So if you like, you can do this as an exercise. Okay? Create a hyperlink here, which when you click on that link, you'll be navigated to the top. Okay? Pretty much like it's done here. Okay? Any questions? Should be pretty straightforward. Okay, finally we found that. This is actually anchors. This is a slide which covers HTML editors, because that's the next question which people ask after the class, where I can get a good HTML editor to work with HTML code. So the best editor is Notepad, as we observed. Okay, you can use Notepad because it's available on all machines. But it depends. If you're doing very basic stuff, Notepad might be enough. But if you like to do more comprehensive, like putting images, arranging them, creating tables without necessity of replicating a lot of code, then you have to look at this list of editors which is available on this site. So the simple editor being Notepad, most comprehensive editor, advanced one being the Dreamweaver from Adobe. Okay, it's very, very expensive and very powerful tool. So it depends. If you need that, if you're creating a lot of HTML paging, authoring that, testing them, that's probably the good idea to